Welcome back, everybody, to the Canada Specialist Program webinar series. Our first update today is with Destination Ontario with your local representative, Alastair. Alastair, I'm going to hand over to you.
Amazing, thank you. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you a little bit about Ontario. So Ontario is the second largest province in Canada, and it's genuinely huge. So to give you maybe a bit of context on size, we are bigger than France and Spain combined. And the name Ontario comes from the Indigenous word, meaning land of shining waters, which is very appropriate as there's over 250,000 lakes and rivers inside the province, and actually more of the surface area in the province is made up of water than it is of solid ground. So as you can imagine, as a result, lots of water-based activities throughout the province. Ontario itself is, I'd like to think, the best connected province to the UK in terms of airlift. We have daily flights from London Heathrow, Gatwick. Through the summer, we're up to, I think, 6 a day from Manchester, daily from Glasgow, and daily from Edinburgh as well. So lots of flights out to Ontario. Right, we are a 4-season destination. For example, in the spring, we have some beautiful fall colours. Not fall colours in the spring, sorry. In the spring, we have the Tulip Festival in Ottawa. Summer, lots of outdoor adventure. Fall is when we have the explosion of autumnal colours. And then in the winter, you can see lots of different Christmassy activities, including skating along the Rideau Canal in Ottawa. So what I'm going to talk you through today is a traditional circle route. It's actually sort of very similar to the tour that Adam is, or the fan that Adam was talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'll start in Toronto. We'll make our way down to Niagara, up through Blue Mountain, Algonquin, Ottawa, and if I have some time, I'll touch on Gananoque, Kingston, and the Thousand Islands. So Toronto. Toronto is an exciting city. It is diverse, adventurous, huge. It's known as the downtown of Canada. And it, as I say, it's the biggest city in all of Canada and also our provincial capital. When I say diverse, I really do mean diverse. We have over 50% of the people in the province have a language, or their first language is not English. So that's a mix of French, Spanish, Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Greek, and that really comes out in the cuisine and neighborhoods inside of the city. So away from the traditional and more well-known distillery district and Kensington Market areas, which are both incredible. We also have a Koreatown, a Greek town, a Chinatown, or multiple Chinatowns, and much more. So, as I say, as a result, Toronto has so much to offer. So we have lots of family-friendly attractions, such as Ripley's Aquarium of Canada, the Hockey Hall of Fame, the Toronto Zoo, much more. For culture enthusiasts and museum lovers, we have the Royal Ontario Museum and the Art Gallery of Ontario, both of which are leading North American museums and have everything you could possibly want to see and learn about. And lots of different color and culinary experiences throughout the city. So as I say, very, very diverse city, and as a result, diverse dining experiences. And some of these walking food tours are a great way to explore many distinctive neighborhoods. And actually, to lean into the culinary aspect of Toronto, we recently became the first Canadian city to be Michelin accredited, where I think it was 13 restaurants throughout the city received a Michelin star, 1 restaurant received 2, and then a lot of Bib Gourmand accreditation. So it's, I think, long overdue for Toronto, because it has, for a long time now, been an incredible dining destination. So what you see here is atop the CN Tower. So the CN Tower is obviously the staple of the Toronto skyline. When you think of Toronto and you see Toronto, you can't miss the CN Tower. Above the CN Tower is a signature Canadian experience, which is Edgewalk. So it was the first of its kind in North America, and it's a full circle, hands-free walk atop the CN Tower. Not for everyone, but for adrenaline junkies, it is amazing. Really would recommend. So moving on from Toronto, we have Niagara Falls. So I would say Niagara Falls is probably the most iconic image of Canada. I'm probably being a little biased, but it is genuinely stunning, and it's only a 90-minute drive from Toronto, from downtown Toronto. It is not just a day trip. There are so many different things to see and do in Niagara Falls, and what I'll do is I'll touch on a few of them now. So the main attraction is obviously the falls itself, and there's lots of different things to, different ways to experience. Majority of these are year-round. The main exception is the Niagara City Cruises Voyage to the Falls boat tour. So that's what you may know as Hornblower or Maid of the Mist, which is the US operator. That's Niagara City Cruises. This year we open service in April, and it's seasonal until it gets a bit too cold. Other opportunities are, of course, Niagara helicopters. Again, for those who are going up Edgewalk, this is probably something they would love to do as well. It's a completely unique and different experience and perspective of the falls. There's also ways that you can stay on level ground. One option is the journey behind the falls, which is the image you can see here. Our newest attraction is the tunnel at Niagara Park's power station. So that's on the earlier slide in the top right. So what you see there is the Niagara Park's power station tunnel. It's the newest attraction, and it is genuinely incredible. You get a history of the power station itself, which is now out of service, and then you get to go along the tunnel where the excess water used to run, and you get a really, really great full view of the falls. Nearby to Niagara Falls is Niagara-on-the-Lake. It's only 30 minutes along the Niagara Parkway, but it has a completely different atmosphere to the falls and the town of Niagara itself. It's a charming small town, constantly recognized as one of the prettiest in all of Canada, and it sits in the heart of Ontario's wine region. And so as a result, there's a rich farm-to-table tradition, but also lots of wineries dot around. So there's over 100. The main ones being Pella, Wayne Gretzky's winery, and a few more. The image you see here is of 8 Below, which is a ice wine bar underneath the Pella Estates winery. So I'm going to try and speed up because we've got a few things to cover. Next is Blue Mountain. That's about 2 hours from Toronto, or about 90 minutes to, not 90, 2 hours to 3 hours from Niagara Falls. So Blue Mountain is a popular destination for Ontario residents throughout all seasons, and it really is a year-round destination. Oh, there you are. So Blue Mountain is great for soft adventure. There's the Ridge Runner mountain coaster, lots of different courses, mini golf, regular golf. There's a mountain gondola, biking trails, hiking routes, kayaking is available there, and much more. In the winter, the mountain itself, you can learn to ski and snowboard. It is a great option for young families who want to have skiing as an option in their winter holiday, but maybe not the entire holiday itself. And that tends to run from the end of November through to the end of March. So touch very quickly on the Georgian Bay. So Blue Mountains sit on the Georgian Bay, and the Georgian Bay is your gateway through to Northern Ontario. So you can go up to Bruce Peninsula, Sault Ste. Marie, and much more. So moving on from Blue Mountain is Muskoka. So Muskoka itself is a gateway to Algonquin Provincial Park, and we'll come on to Algonquin in a second. But Muskoka is about 2 hours north of Toronto. It's very easy to drive to, and it's a very popular tourist destination for Torontonians. Think of it as Toronto's answer to the Hamptons. Lots of people who live in Toronto like to say they have a cottage on one of the many lakes in Muskoka. One of the beautiful things about Muskoka is exploring the different small towns and finding the different things inside the region that catch your eye and that you want to do. The image you can see here is of the J.W. Marriott Muskoka that sits on Lake Rousseau, which is the most prestigious of the three main lakes that make up the Muskoka region. As you can imagine, and throughout Ontario, there is a plethora of water-based activities. You can kayak, canoe, stand-up paddleboarding, much more. And as I say, Muskoka is actually our gateway through to our first and oldest and most famous provincial park. It was founded, I think, back in 1893, and it's particularly famous for its explosion of vibrant fall colours, but it really is magical throughout all 4 seasons. What's really special about Algonquin is the restrictions placed on developments inside the park. So you really do, there's only 3 lodges inside and then campgrounds. The 3 lodges are Arrowhorn, Killarney, and Bartlett. And yeah, so these are the only ones. So it gives you a perfect place, only 3 hours north of Toronto, to completely disconnect from, I guess, city and urban life and reconnect with nature. It's very popular for wildlife spotting. So there are moose, black bears, wolves, plenty of fish, plenty of birds, beavers, and much more. It's a beautiful place to go, and as I say, completely disconnect. Moving on from Algonquin, we have Canada's capital, Ottawa. So Ottawa is an intriguing mix of English and French cultures. It's really where the two have sort of merged together and blended to create a quite unique city. So Ottawa is a lot smaller than Toronto, and it's very walkable. Lots of history and culture throughout the city, such as the Byward Market, which is over 200 years old. It's one of the oldest and largest public markets in all of Canada, and it has everything you need from dining and shopping, etc., to much more. And year-round festivals. What I love to do when I speak about Ottawa is tell you a story of a tulip festival, which takes place in the spring every year. So the tulip festival is when so every year the Dutch send tulips to Ottawa in Canada as a thank you for what they did during World War II. So aside from helping to liberate the city liberate the country, sorry, from Nazi Germany, Canada played host, and Ottawa specifically played host to the Dutch royal family during the war. The Queen at the time was pregnant, and because of Canadian citizenship laws, if the Queen gave birth while in Canada, the princess, or the soon-to-be princess, would have been a Canadian citizen and therefore ineligible to succeed to the Dutch throne. So what the Ottawa government did is they seceded a portion of the maternity ward inside the hospital where the Queen was due to give birth, and so ceded it as Dutch sovereign lands. So when the Queen gave birth, she was born when Queen gave birth, the princess was born a Dutch citizen, not Canadian, and later ascended to the throne. So as a thank you for that, the Dutch still send tulips to Ottawa. And there's now a huge festival around that. And I think that's a beautiful way to sum up Canada generally, and certainly Ontario and Ottawa. I know I'm at the back end of my time, so I'll touch very quickly on Kingston and the Thousand Islands. Kingston was the original capital of Canada, so lots of history in the city, lots of culture. It's a great place to visit and a gateway into the beautiful Thousand Islands. You can see here, lots of boat cruises, you can do a helicopter tour, that sort of thing. I want to thank you very much for providing me with the opportunity to talk about Ontario. I hope some of that was useful, informative, if a little rushed, and I will hand back over to Charlie.